Hi there everyone, and welcome to another installment in the AgilePoint Generative AI video series. This time, we're talking about how AgilePoint can ingest existing PDFs and turn them into a working business application in mere moments. We have two scenarios for you today. The first one is going to be a little more straightforward, while the second ratchets up the complexity significantly. So for scenario one, my design team has created a mockup in Figma and exported that as a PDF. That's going to be the basis for our first application. So as you're seeing on screen, this is a college enrollment application, and the application itself will have three tabs: general information, academics, and family history. And as we scroll through the form here, you're going to see a number of text boxes. Some would appear to be radio buttons or drop downs as an example. So giving you a good sense of how AgilePoint is going to interpret these elements and transpose them into the AgilePoint context. So let's get started by building our first app. So for all of you AgilePoint experts out there, you're probably familiar with the Add an App dialog. But if you're not, what we're going to do here is just specify some details about our application by giving it a name, dropping it into a category. Now here, you can see that AgilePoint is asking me whether we want to create a widget form, and noting that it is not typical. As you may know, a widget form is created with the express purpose of hosting on a landing page. So since that doesn't apply, we're going to go ahead and leave not required selected and check the option to generate the form with AI. Now in past videos, we'd shown you the Let AI Decide option, where we provide a prompt or a written description of the application that we'd like to build, and the AI takes it from there. Today's video is going to focus around PDFs, as we mentioned, with image options and Excel coming in the near future. Okay, now we're selecting the repository for our PDF. In my case, it's on my local file system, so I'm going to drag and drop it here in just a second. But as you're seeing, I can always host this document in any number of storage repositories and simply browse for that doc from there. Okay, so let me grab my file and drop it over. Okay, so now that the file is uploaded, if we click Next, you're going to see all of the fields that AgilePoint has suggested. But don't worry, we can always massage these results, add new fields, reclassify them, until our table is just right. So the first thing I want to do is find the student ID field and drop that above the student name field. Okay, so underneath date of birth, we're going to want to add two new fields. So the first is going to be for the student's email address, which will be of type email. And we'll do the same thing here with the student's phone number. From there, we'll have a field for US states. Here we go. So let's change that to a type of pick list and use AI to generate standard values. I'm going to call this US state. Okay, great. And with country, we're going to do the same thing here. So this is going to become a pick list. And we're going to select from a pick list. There we go, country. Okay, so a little further below, we have fields for the grades in 10th and 12th classes. So we're going to generate one pick list that we'll use for both columns. Okay, and we'll generate. Okay, great. So we're going to rename this to grade and class so that we can reuse it. And we'll use the same pick list here for the 12th grade. Okay, and the same approach here for father and mother's blood group. So this is already a pick list. So let's just generate this. All right, great. So again, we're going to rename this to be a little more generic. Just blood group. Scroll down, and again, reuse our pick list. Okay, now for family income, let's check to see if we have a pick list already generated. Okay, we do not, so we're going to generate that. Okay, looking pretty good. Okay, so I think that's it. As you're seeing here, this was also a 3-column layout, as was the case with our inspiration form here. So all that's left now is to click Next and be dropped into the application designer. Okay, so we have our table name here, and down below you're seeing a primary field dropdown. Now, by default, AgilePoint has identified the student ID as the primary key, which looks good to me. But the important piece here is, as you're seeing, I can always reclassify it to any field that I'd like. Okay, now we don't need these for now. We can always add these elements later on, and the same thing with users. So what you're going to see here is after a few moments, AgilePoint will drop me into the UI designer, and you will see a fully assembled application created in mere moments. All right, so here you're seeing the various application components that AgilePoint has pre-created for me, a new form where I can enter new records, an update form to modify any existing records, 3 views for all records recently created and recently modified, with a corresponding lookup for each of those views. Okay, so our form is looking pretty good here. So let's just bring this up in preview to test the functionality. So we have 3 columns across the top. Our drop-down lists are populated, which means that all we have to do now is save and check it in, publish, and we're good to go. And launch. Okay, so here you're seeing the list view. Across the top are the various views that were automatically created. And again, as you're seeing here, a completely functional, pre-built business application that's ready to go. So with this use case completed, let's take a look at scenario 2, where the complexity is increased significantly. So the first thing you're probably noticing is that a fillable PDF does not have sections. It uses headings. So as you're seeing here, things like employment application, jobs and skills training and recommendations, those are going to need to be transposed into AgilePoint concepts. But just scrolling through the form here, we have text boxes, date fields, phone numbers, email addresses. The physical address has multiple lines of text. The referral section, those appear to be checkboxes. And towards the bottom, we have a number of file uploads. So let's see how AgilePoint handles these. Okay, so getting started with our next app, we're going to follow the same process as just a moment back. We'll give our category. Again, a widget form is not going to be required, and we'll build this using AI. All right, so once more, I'm going to attach my PDF. Okay, great. So let's take a look at the fields that were suggested. So across the top, the heading that was on our fillable PDF, personal information, has been transformed into a tab or section in the AgilePoint parlance. First and last name can remain as text fields. Birth date is a date field. We have another tab here for contact information. But let's go ahead and reclassify the phone number to type of phone. Email address is good as an email. Now address here, that did have multiple lines of text, so let's go ahead and change that to a text area. Okay, now here with region, we can use one of the regions that we used in our prior application. Code our region, looking good. The referral section again has been implemented as another tab or section. But let's take a look at the referral section. You're seeing that AgilePoint has automatically understood this as a checkbox and has automatically generated the values as extracted from the form. So that's all good. We don't need to do anything here. Okay, so scrolling down, there were a few file uploads, which you're seeing here on screen. Uploading a resume, any relevant training or certifications, as well as our recommendations. So with this, everything is looking pretty good. So in closing, let's quickly recap what you've seen over the course of this video. Scenario 1 was a college enrollment application where my design team created a mockup using Figma and exported that design into PDF. You watched AgilePoint ingest that document, transpose all of its functionality into the corresponding AgilePoint context, and we had a working business application in mere moments. Scenario 2 increased the complexity with the job application. Here, we took a fillable PDF, which had things like headings, file uploads, phone controls, and email. And again, all of that was instantly transposed into the AgilePoint context. And in the event that you're curious, if you're looking at replatforming away from another solution with AgilePoint, provided you can export existing interfaces, forms, and what have you as a PDF, you could follow the exact same steps shown in this video to instantly rebuild your new applications on AgilePoint. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate you watching. Until next time.